Truth Social CEO Nunez to lead the intelligence board for his administration. Of course, this is massive for a multitude of reasons. At the same time, who do you see rung the bell on the New York Stock Exchange with Donald Trump? Right behind him, you've got RFK Jr. You've also got Vice President J.D. Vance. All as Trump has been named Times Person of the Year. RFK Jr. is very well aware of what is going on with retail investors. In this tweet where he tagged me, he invested $24,000 in GameStop from fees that he earned from Monsanto in order to help get greater transparency in our financial markets, increase regulatory oversight, and tougher penalties. We've seen Kenneth Cordell bedpost Griffin, and you guys know why his nickname is Bedpost. And in case you don't, it's because his wife alleged in their divorce proceedings that he threw a bedpost at her when she said that she wanted a divorce. Stephanie brings up a great point here. Markets were designed to be based on supply and demand, but that's a lie. This is Ken Griffin and from Citadel Securities in a rare moment of truth-telling. They set the price. They control the price movement. You can't have price discovery when there's an unlimited amount of shares. Selling shares you don't own, you can't deliver. This is called naked shorting. Shorting without locating. Shorting without locating and borrowing the security is a dangerous game and one that is unsustainable. The reality of the matter is that they have the legal right to create synthetic shares out of thin air.
Passive investing is actually rooted in the theory that markets are efficient, and that markets are efficient because of active managers setting the prices of securities. Firms like Citadel, that markets are efficient because of active managers setting the prices of securities. Firms like Citadel, firms like Fidelity, firms like Viking Global, Capital Research. We're all running large teams of people that are engaged in fundamental research, trying to drive the value of companies towards where we think they should be valued. Trying to drive the value of companies towards where we think they should be valued. And passive investing, in a sense, enjoys the market efficiency that we create.
Listen to that. He doesn't always tell the truth, but when he does, oh, it's big. It's a big deal. This was just taken a couple months ago from Donald Trump.
I hear the shorts are working. They're working so hard, but shorts can get hurt very badly. Just remember, though, we have great cash. We have a thing that's not very expensive to run. We have the best engineers in the country. Will you raise started because of, I hear the shorts are working. They're working so hard, but shorts can get hurt very badly. Just remember, though, I hear the shorts are working.
Hey, quick heads up, Meatwad. Thank you for the super chat. That was very kind of you. I really appreciate you, my friend. So Donald Trump has even recently, in the last couple of months, been calling out naked shorts. Citadel Securities CEO, DJT CEO Devin Nunes has been calling out and just recently wrote another letter to Congress, and we're about to go over that again. But at the same time, before Donald Trump was elected, Ken Griffin called Trump a 3-time loser. Get this.
The people that are running for the office of the president, they're on a mission on their own. And they're going to do what they're going to do.
The process has to play out.
The process has to play out. Now, I really do hope that President Trump sees the writing on the wall. He lost in 2020. We lost Georgia because of his behavior in the Senate race in 2020. That's a second loss. And then this year, Republicans lost the Senate because the Trump-backed candidates in the Senate races were rejected by American voters. That's a 3-time loser. And I'd like to think that the Republican Party is ready to move on from somebody who's been, for this party, a 3-time loser. The people that are running for the office.
So you see, the reason that Citadel is jumping down Trump Media CEO and DJT stock is quite clear, right? They said that Donald Trump's social media startup publicized a letter to the heads of various U.S. House of Representatives, doubling down on claims that a legal form of short selling may be hitting its stock. The CEO, Devin Nunes, wrote not one, but 4 letters asking for an investigation into the trading of the stock and whether laws, including those governing racketeering and tax evasion, were violated. Let me pull that up here for you guys. I'm going to move that forward so you can see what I'm talking about. Here it is. You can see here in the letter from part of the letter from Devin Nunes. We zoomed in here on this part so you can see it. Here it is. Obviously, the text is very small. So let's get down to the important part. It says, I write today to inform you that these acute anomalies appear to have continued since my last letter. Recent data from the SEC for May reveals that failures to deliver for DJT remain shockingly high. FTDs exceeded 1 million shares on 7 of the 10 trading days covered by the data, and on 3 of those days, they exceeded 2 million shares. I previously requested that you encourage FINRA to issue the electronic blue sheet requests pertaining to April and May to firms that facilitate short sales. Now, I respectfully add that you add other dates here, he says, all the way through June to these requests. Recipients of these requests should include the following financial firms. 1. Citadel Securities. 2. Virtue Americas. 3. G1 Execution Services. 4. Jane Street Capital. This is his 4th letter to congressional leaders requesting blue sheets and consolidated audit trail data for DJT. This adds additional dates where Nunes wants data from specific financial institutions, and this is also in addition to the letters that he sent to the Securities Exchange Commission, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, and the NASDAQ. So you can see here he goes into great depth here in regards to the NASDAQ Reg Show Threshold Securities list, amongst other companies that have been on the Reg Show Threshold Securities list over the last several years. Some of the top companies that included there are Tesla, GameStop, AMC stock, just to give you a few. At the same time, Ken Griffin notes that he has publicly opposed Donald Trump's presidency in the past many times, and has even pointed out the fact that FTX had a line on their balance sheet called Trump Lose, and that Sam Bankman-Fried donated tons of money to the Democratic National Convention and the DNC.
You know, on the balance sheet of FTX is a line called Trump Lose. And Sam was the 2nd biggest donor to Democratic candidates.
I'm going to leave it to everybody else to draw their own conclusions about what you're saying here.
You know, on the balance sheet of FTX is a line called Trump Lose. And Sam was the 2nd biggest donor to Democratic candidates.
Now remember, that was retail investor money. This information is coming from somebody who has publicly called Donald Trump a 3-time loser, who has blasted and is opposing the CEO of DJT for coming out with letters in regards to short selling. He called Devin Nunes also a loser after he wrote a letter to the NASDAQ claiming to be a victim of potential market manipulation. And we even know here that Ken Griffin has attended the Bilderberg meetings in 2023. This article from nationalfile.com says globalist billionaire Ken Griffin attended Bilderberg this past weekend. Griffin has called Trump a 3-time loser and pledged to back Ron DeSantis for president. He joined other global elites at the shadowy conference in Europe, discussing others. There were reportedly, of course, they were discussing AI, banking, China, NATO, Russia, Ukraine, and many other things. So he was definitely pushing for Ron DeSantis to become president. And they previously reported that Griffin's pull on DeSantis was so strong that when DeSantis gave Tucker Carlson an answer on Ukraine that Griffin didn't approve of, he went down to Florida, and weeks later, DeSantis' tone on Ukraine changed from pro-peace to war hawk. Griffin has called Trump a 3-time loser, and many wondering if the reasoning behind Griffin's attack on Trump is because Trump has pledged to prevent World War III and save America's economy. Oh, Wolf of My Street. This is a great video here as well. This is a perfect time to share the video of when Donald Trump called out Ken Griffin.
Ken Griffin, Citadel, what a guy he is. Where are you, Ken? Where the hell is he? He's trying to hide some of his money. Look, he doesn't want to stand up. Where the hell is Ken? See, Steve, you'll stand, and he's very quiet about it. He's in here someplace. He just doesn't want to stand. Ken Griffin, Citadel, what a guy he is.
What a
Where are you,
guy.
Ken? Where the hell is he? He's trying to hide some of his money. Look, he doesn't want to stand up. Where the hell is Ken? See, Steve, you'll stand, and he's very quiet about it. He's in here someplace. He just doesn't want to stand.
They have been going at this for a long time. And now with the recent announcement of Devin Nunes as the lead intelligence board member for the Trump administration, it's very clear that they're going to be investigating a lot of what's happening currently in financial markets. And see, Trump media ropes in Congress to pursue claims of illegal shorts, says Bloomberg. Truth Social parent publishes CEO's letter to committee chairs. The social media firm trades at over 30 times NVIDIA's multiple. See, they published a letter to various U.S. House of Representative committees, doubling down on claims that an illegal form of short selling may be hitting its stock. CEO Devin Nunes penned a letter asking for an investigation of the trading of the stock and whether laws, including those governing racketeering and tax evasion, were violated. He flagged concerns that so-called naked short sales, which involve betting against the stock without first borrowing shares, could potentially be occurring, hurting its loyal investors. And we know that it was occurring. Otherwise, the company wouldn't have been on the Reg Show threshold securities list. And he wouldn't have had to write 4 separate letters to Congress, additional letters to the SEC, letters to FINRA, letters to NASDAQ. But he's in a special situation. Because of his ties to Donald Trump, Devin Nunes can get away with these things. Whereas other firms and other companies that are being naked shorted can't do the same. So I very much am looking forward to them moving forward. So you can see here Citadel blasted Trump media CEO Devin Nunes over the short selling letter. Citadel Securities ripped Trump media CEO Devin Nunes for the letter he sent to NASDAQ, where he mentioned Citadel and other market makers after warning of possible illegal naked shorting of Trump media shares. They said, this is Citadel's words, Ken Griffin's words. No, it's their spokesperson. Devin Nunes is the proverbial loser who tries to blame naked short selling for his falling stock price, a spokesperson for Citadel Securities said of the former Republican congressman. They said, Nunes is exactly the type of person Donald Trump would have fired on The Apprentice, referring to the former Republican president's business competition reality TV show. They said if he, Nunes, worked for Citadel, we would fire him, as ability and integrity are at the center of everything that we do. And a Trump media fired back, saying Citadel, a corporate behemoth that has been fined and censured for an incredibly wide range of offenses, including issues related to naked short selling, is world famous for screwing over everyday retail investors at the behest of other corporations, is the last company on earth that should lecture anyone on integrity. And they filed with the Securities Exchange Commission, noting that they issued their response. They also said, Citadel also said, check this out. Before I move there, Devin and DJT also said, rather than support our common sense efforts to promote transparency and compliance, Citadel Securities bizarrely targeted our CEO with an unhinged attack, they said in that filing. And of course, Nunez's letter to NASDAQ CEO, dated a few weeks ago, said that they had issued shareholders detailed instructions on how to avoid their DJT shares being used by short sellers while betting that the price of stock will fall. For example, not holding them in a margin account, because shares in a margin account can be lent out without your permission, such as turning off share lending. Here he is in his own words.
Now that we've begun to talk about this, we have people that are essentially whistleblowers that are coming forward. So we're getting people now that are coming out of the woodwork that are beginning to tell us things that I'm like, wow, this looks like something that I should have looked at when I was in Congress. It appears like it's been happening for a long time, but it's something that shouldn't happen in this country. I mean, you shouldn't be, if you're on this reg show list, if there's an irregularity, you can understand if something gets a little out of whack for 1 or 2 or 3 days, but then if the system works properly, everything should be cleaned out quickly. But I think the problem is bigger. And maybe they got so greedy at targeting us that maybe, just maybe, we don't know, but maybe we're going to expose something that's going to be bigger than what most of us imagined. And I think there's probably been a lot of companies over the last decade or so or more that have been hurt by these same tactics. And
as we've mentioned, other companies, very notably, that have been on the Reg Show Threshold Securities list for massive amounts of failures to deliver, indicating that shares were sold without being borrowed and without being bought back to return. This is a clear indication of naked shorting and synthetic share creation, which artificially dilutes a stock and decreases the stock price. Some of those companies, as we've mentioned, are GameStop, Tesla, AMC stock, and even silver ETF, SLV.
And so, look, I'm hopeful that we're going to continue to work with our allies in Congress. We'll build the case. We'll inform the appropriate authorities. As you know, we've already talked to the NASDAQ. Seems to me like the RICO statute applies here. Yes. And that leads me to, the other, we're obviously going down the congressional route right now. But don't forget, there are a lot of state attorney generals that should have an interest in this. If, how much damage has been done to capital formation of other smaller companies that have been hit by this naked short selling or counterfeit shares. My guess is it's going to be a large number. And look, we just might be the poster child. And if this happened to us, we're going to break it out into the open. We're going to make sure that people know about it, and we're going to continue to expose it. So working with Congress, working with other governmental authorities, and also going to work with the state attorney generals.
What an absolute OG. That is exceptional news. You can see here they said, we're giving them information. They're asking the right questions. We're working with NASDAQ. They need to work with other attorney generals and have them look into this corruption.
Not only are we working with the House of Representatives and the Senate to look into the issues at True Social, where we see a lot of irregularities involving market makers, involving people that are broker dealers, involving hedge funds. So we're running that investigation. We're giving them that information. They're asking the right questions. We're working with NASDAQ. But in addition to that, and this is what the Republicans should do, they need to work with the state attorney generals, where they have state attorney generals that will look into some of this government corruption. It's the best possible thing you can do. That's what we're doing. We're a Florida-based company. We've asked the Florida attorney general to look into these irregularities, and that way you're getting the state governments involved, because it's the only place we have any sanity left in this country.
And maybe they got so greedy at targeting us that maybe, just maybe, we don't know, but maybe we're going to expose something that's going to be bigger than what most of us imagine.
And that is absolutely true. This has been a huge point of contention for retail investors for a significant period of time. And this isn't something that is just going away. This isn't something that is a conspiracy theory. This is an absolute fact. You can see this article posted on franknez.com today. An investment firm has just filed for bankruptcy amidst naked short selling investigation. So they filed for bankruptcy amidst this naked short selling investigation that resulted in the loss of more than $126 million. This article was just posted today. This bankruptcy is brand spanking new. Liquidators representing All Blue Investments, North Star One Limited, and All Blue Investment Management, companies based in Dubai and registered in the Virgin Islands, have taken significant legal action by filing for Chapter 15 bankruptcy recognition in Miami. This move comes as a broader investigation into potentially fraudulent activities that have raised more serious concerns. The investigation reportedly involves 2 affiliates located in the Cayman Islands and centers around allegations of improper naked short trades. Now, in case you're wondering why they're located in the Cayman Islands, that's because they're firms that are outside of the United States. For example, firms that are located in the British Virgin Islands and the Caymans do not have to file their short interest with regulators because they don't fall under the SEC Dodd-Frank regulations. They fall under the jurisdiction of the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC. And they don't have to follow those SEC Dodd-Frank regulations, and they don't have to report those naked shorts and those shorting, I should say. They don't report naked shorts, of course, at all, but they don't report their short interest whatsoever. So in this case, the alleged misconduct has resulted in a staggering losses amounting to approximately $126 million. Chapter 15 bankruptcy is designed to address cross-border insolvencies and provide legal framework for companies, foreign companies, to seek protection and manage their debts in the United States courts. So we've seen this happen before with other companies like Evergrande, with other firms, family offices, and hedge funds that have gone under in the last 3.5 years for shorting GameStop, AMC, and such. Even other big banks. You guys have seen Archegos family office become completely insolvent, taking down their prime brokerage, the bank, Credit Suisse, and they were absorbed, of course, by UBS. And now UBS is facing billions and billions of dollars in potential losses here, in unrealized losses due to their swaps that have not been closed out against GameStop and AMC. But guess what? It's not just Citadel. Check this out. Doug Sifu is getting into it as well. Doug Sifu is the chief executive officer of Virtue. Virtue is the world's second largest market maker. Citadel Securities and Ken Griffin being the first, of course. But of course, Dougie Large, Doug Sifu on Twitter said, "Yeah, I'm sure Nunez is all about BD accounting just like you. Pathetic." And Wise Guys on Twitter responds, "Why would Dougie Large continue to be so condescending to Devin Nunez? What did DJT or Nunez do that has Doug so uptight? I thought public CEOs had a certain level of professional respect, but I guess not." And well, what could it have been, ladies and gentlemen? Well, gee, maybe it was the fact that he's actually written many, many letters to Congress and has come out and spoken up against Citadel and Virtue and G1 and Jane Street to Congress and senators and the committees, SEC, FINRA, and NASDAQ. I would say that that's probably why Dougie Sifu's got his panties up in a bunch. Remember, Ken Griffin and Citadel Securities called Nunez a loser about 9 months ago because Nunez accused Citadel, Virtue, Jane Street, and others of naked short-selling DJT in a letter to congressional leaders. Ken Griffin called Donald Trump a loser before he was elected, and of course now is trying to be all buddy-buddy. Well, today we learned that last week we learned that Devin Nunez is going to lead President Trump's Intelligence Advisory Board. And I can't imagine that Nunez has forgotten Citadel's statements about him. Devin Nunez is a proverbial loser who tries to blame naked short selling for his falling stock price, said Citadel's spokesperson. And also, as you can see here, Virtue Financial CEO is also talking shit on Twitter, pretending to be holier than thou or better than thou, when in reality, he is at risk of facing the same RICO charges. Honey, don't come over here like that. You need to go put a shirt on. Go ahead, honey. He's facing the same RICO charges that anybody else who does that.
This is for Donald Trump.
Oh, it is? Give me that. Give me that. Thank you very much.
All the money's for him.
That's awesome. Give me this. My daughter brings this over, and she's like, "I got diamonds. These are for Donald Trump." I guess we're gonna buy DJT stock with these diamonds. She says he's the best, brah. Oh, that's awesome. And she drew this little Post-it of Trump. Get out of here. Yesterday, she drew a Post-it note of Kamala Harris getting arrested. Now, remember, I had not told her to do or say any of these things. She is just very observant and has seen the videos of Trump, has seen the videos of Kamala, the ones that are, appropriate. And yeah, this is Kamala Harris getting arrested, she says. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that was hilarious. Not sure exactly what I had pulled up here on this one. Mary, I just showed them your drawing here of Trump.
Trump is the best.
Yeah. So check this out.
Trump.
Now, you can see here, I got more here in regards to our markets, directly related to naked shorting. So let's explain why Ken Griffin and Doug Sifu don't want retail investors to buy options. There was a large campaign to keep retail investors away from buying options. And the campaign claimed, right, this was a short and distort fear campaign trying to get retail investors away from options, basically claiming that buying options gives your money to the market makers. But the reality is that it's much bigger than that. The reason that they don't want retail buying options is this.
In the options market, we must print the trade on an exchange.
He said, when you buy options, that hits a lit market. We must print the trade on an exchange, and it causes the share price to go up. And in case you were unaware, I'll go back to that in a moment. But today, right at the end of the day, GameStop price shot up quite significantly because somebody bought $3 million worth of GameStop options in the last 5 minutes of the market. That immediately shot up GameStop's price by 5%, pushing it from $27.50 to almost $30 a share. Because buying options creates a situation in which market makers and hedge funds and other shorts must delta hedge.
Versus a market where you can trade off exchange, which would be the U.S. equities market. So just to be very clear, because your question is very good, every single options trade must be executed on an exchange. Equity trades do not. In the options market, we must print the trade on an exchange versus a market where you can trade off exchange, which would be the U.S. equities market. So just to be very clear, because your question is very good, every single options trade must be executed on an exchange. Equity trades do not.
Of course. Why would they want you to buy options when they can't suppress your options buying?
Equity trades do not.
They want you to only buy shares, and they want you to do it using companies like Robinhood and Webull and IBKR and Schwab, because they use payment for order flow to sell your orders to guys like Ken Griffin and Doug Sifu. And when that happens, they internalize the trade. It doesn't hit the lit market. Your order gets routed through a dark pool. Your shares get routed through a dark pool. Many times they give you synthetic shares. Most of the time they give you synthetic shares, and then they buy them back later. And if they're too expensive, they don't buy them at all. They simply fail to deliver. They process hundreds of thousands and millions, sometimes tens of millions of shares through dark pools at a single time, in a single moment. This prevents your stock price from going up or down in the way that it should. This is literal market manipulation, and it's legal. Thank you to guys like Bernie Madoff for implementing payment for order flow. Even Ken Griffin and Doug Sifu were against payment for order flow before it was implemented. Of course, once they were able to use it for their benefit, now they're all for it. And the only way to prevent this is to look for a new stock brokerage, one that does not actually send your orders to dark pools and use payment for order flow to send your orders to guys like Ken Griffin and Doug Sifu. That's Lit Exchange. You can go to litexchange.com and sign up, join the wait list to be contacted upon our launch. You can also join our founders program to own equity in Lit Exchange and receive a plethora of benefits that will never be available again. You can invest in Lit Exchange via the FINRA approved funding portal and broker dealer, Silicon Prairie here, in which over 275 retail investors have already invested over $500,000. You can see our SEC Edgar filings on the SEC Edgar website as well, linked directly from our website. Check out the CEO of Better Markets explaining how naked shorting can exceed the total number of all shares to the House Financial Committee. This was in regards to the GameStop investigation called GameStop: Who Wins and Loses When Short Selling, Social Media, and Retail Investors Collide, Part 2.
The current regulation only requires broker-dealers to have a reasonable, or institutional investors have a reasonable ground to believe the security can be borrowed, so that it can be delivered on the delivery date. So it's a reasonable belief. Now, I don't know about Mr. Plotkin's system, although it sounded like a pretty good system when he said it, which is he says unless his firm has identified, in fact, the security and to have it deliverable, it doesn't even allow them to short a position. But that's not actually the law, as I understand it. As I understand it, it's a reasonable belief. And people can have a lot of reasonable beliefs. And we have massive failures to deliver of GameStop stock in January. So not only do we have a short position that exceeds about 140% of the available float at the time, but then subsequently we have a massive failure to deliver. The current regulation only requires broker-dealers to have...
That information that was just giving here was basically somebody saying the quiet part out loud. It's really important to people pay attention to that. Because he literally tells you guys exactly what's going on in the markets. Usually, short interest is hidden by buying and by shorting the exchange-traded funds and by using ISDA swaps and contracts. But Gabe Plotkin and Melvin Capital thought they had GameStop by the balls and were going to be able to make them bankrupt in that moment, and they made a big mistake.
Have a reasonable, or institutional investors have a reasonable ground to believe the security can be borrowed, so that it can be delivered on the delivery date. So it's a reasonable belief.
Now, he's also saying that companies like Robinhood and Schwab, all your broker dealers, can lend out shares, and they don't even have to have locates for them. They can just allow them to be sold short. All they have to have is a belief, a reasonable belief that they can get those shares.
Now, I don't know about Mr. Plotkin's system, although it sounded like a pretty good system when he said it, which is he says unless his firm has identified, in fact, the security and to have it deliverable, it doesn't even allow them to short a position. But that's not actually the law, as I understand it. As I understand it, it's a reasonable belief. And people can have a lot of reasonable beliefs. And we have massive failures to deliver of GameStop stock in January. So not only do we have a short position that exceeds about 140% of the available float at the time, but then subsequently we have a massive failure to deliver.
He said everything. I don't even have to say anything else. I think you guys are very well understanding what's going on. That's why companies like DJT, Tesla, GameStop, AMC are so consistently hitting the Reg Show threshold securities list, because they're being naked shorted. They're being sold short illegally by multitudes of firms. And it's legal for a market maker to use Market Makers Exemption Rule 203B, III, to sell shares of stock that they don't have. But it's illegal for a market maker to do so on behalf of their hedge fund. And that's the situation that you're seeing here with Citadel, the market maker, and Citadel, the hedge fund. That's the situation you're seeing with Virtue the market maker, and Virtue, the hedge fund. And that's never going to stop unless we change it. And the only way that we're ever going to change that is if you go out there and find a brokerage like Lit Exchange that does not route your orders to Citadel or Virtue. That's why Lit Exchange is so important. That's why we've been working on it so hard for the last 39 months now. 39 months we've been working on it. And we are planning to launch here in 2025. So if you'd like to own private equity in the company, and then when we IPO in the next few years, you will then be able to take profits, what we believe to be substantially massive profits once we IPO. There will also be other opportunities there for you and other benefits for you. Is Lit going to follow plotting plan? I'm sorry, Idaho Bob. I don't understand what you're saying. Plotkin? No, Plotkin is a fool. Plotkin is a complete moron. He's one of the worst investors of our time. And Ken Griffin, of course, called him one of the best investors of all time. Very foolishly, more so because Citadel had to bail them out. And so he had to say something nice there and explain why Citadel bought their short positions of AMC and GameStop in order to bail out Plotkin. Because if Melvin Capital had gone under completely, then it would have taken down the rest of the firms as well. What's this, honey?
It's like Donald Trump is winning and Kamala Harris is like
Oh, look at that.
getting arrested.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that right? Tell the people, what is this? What's this? What did you draw? Donald Trump winning?
Yeah.
He's definitely winning.
And Kamala Harris getting
What's this say? She's under arrest?
yeah, she's under arrest.
That's great.
And she's me.
Oh, yeah?
No, this is me. This is Kamala Harris. This is like Kamala Harris getting arrested.
Why are you there?
Donald got smacked on the floor.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
And then let me tell you the winner.
All right.
Donald Trump is winning, and then like.
All right. Let me see here. I got this lady. Can you say Old Yeller?
Old Yeller.
That's Old Yeller. You see her on my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what she has to say. Because this whole
Let's see what she says.
naked shorting thing is a big problem, and it has been for many years.
We saw some of those threats emerge during the onset of the pandemic. We have, for example, open-end bond funds that guarantee daily redemption, saw massive withdrawals by individuals who wanted to flee to cash, and that can trigger fire sales of assets with systemic consequences.
Absolutely.
The Financial Stability Oversight Council that I head has taken that up as a topic that we're looking at and examining. There are issues relating to hedge funds and the possibility of leverage there that can trigger financial runs. That's in
Whoops. She said the quiet part out loud in front of Congress. Of course, Old Yeller would never say this to regular folks like you and I, but she has come out to say that bond redemptions have caused financial runs, and that the greatest risks to the systemic financial system, the greatest risks to the financial system in terms of systemic issues are hedge fund over-leveraging. I think I've said enough. I think you get it. AV asks, what broker is safest to hold shares? I don't trust a single damn brokerage, my friend. That's why we have to create our own. I can't go to a single broker and get them to do these things. Not a single one of them is willing to do these things. Look at the constant issues that are being had with logging in or pulling the buy button or forcing you to sell your crypto. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about all of them. Think about these issues that you've had with all of these brokerages. That is why we have to create our own. Because the only way to avoid the dark pools, the payment for order flow, the manipulation, the pulling of the buy button, and all these other things is to create our own brokerage for retail, by retail, that actually has your best interests in mind. That isn't going to lend out your shares out from underneath you without your permission or without you wanting them to do so. So it's a huge problem, and you guys need to seriously look into Lit Exchange. You can go to litexchange.com. There's no E at the beginning of the exchange. Welcome to the channel, my friend. Just so you guys know, I'm going to try to figure out a way to turn off that sound because I know it's loud. I've turned down the volume on it. I just don't know how. I figured out. I found 50 different settings for it and turned it down to 0 on all the settings, and I can't get it to stop. But I'll figure it out here eventually. Hey, John Doe, Whopper, Maynard, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all investors and founding members of Lit Exchange, all supporters of the channel. We are very much looking forward to launching here in 2025, God willing. And unlike Robinhood, who went to Sequoia in order to secure $3 million to launch, we are coming to retail investors to give you the chance to make the money when we IPO. So that being said, go check it out. Have a great rest of your day. DJT, Devin Nunes, RFK, they're about to lay down the law, and things are going to change, right?
Yeah, things are going to change.
But not fast enough. We need to create our own change, because even if they stop some of these companies from illegally naked shorting, they're not going to stop the payment for order flow, the dark pools, the shorts marked as long, the illegal market manipulation, the married and divorced calls and puts, the shorting of exchange-traded funds. You get it. You get it. I don't think I need to go on any further.
It's AMC fights.
Sorry, Brian. What's that, Kelso?
It's this.
Oh, yeah. All right. Say bye. Say bye, girls.
Bye.
Say bye, Kels.
I need to talk to him for 1 second.
Talk to who?
Dad.
Okay, here, say goodbye. Come here.
Okay, I need to talk to him for 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
It's AMC fights. Tiffin Doe and White. Theory, and somehow it's not there or something. I watch Princess Moon and take the salmon. Here's Donald Trump's face. And my niece to my giant dad. This is the end of the part. A pot or something. Can I talk to him? Can I talk to him?
Okay, say goodbye.
Can I talk to him?
Hold on.
And it's AMC fights.
You want to watch the AMC fights?
No.
You confused UFC with AMC.
And it's so funny or something. And what is that nail? So something else. Nails.
Okay, say goodbye.
Oh,
Say bye.
1 second down.
You're not done?
1 second. I need to talk to him for now. It's 2 months to my tube. My tube is white off my Potter's tube.
Okay, cool story, bro. Cool story.
Me too. And it's guys, I hope you have a great day today. And I hope the price goes up today
Aw.
or tomorrow. And we're going to the moon!
Who told you to say that?
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
Say that.
Yeah, but I didn't tell you to say that. Oh, we're going to the moon? Yeah.
We're going to the moon!
Chill.
Everybody! It's 2 months then my tube.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to save your ears. Goodbye, my friends.